This is Ben Carpenter with Integra Electrical, a master electrician and an electrician for the last 31 years. So a lot of times we'll hear the question, how much does it cost to rewire an entire house? So how would you answer that?
Well, that is a really good question. So rewiring a house can be exhaustive or it can be very minimalist, as you might suspect. Exhaustive being, we could say, well, we are going to come through and remove every single part of the old wiring system and put all new wires in. This would be much akin to someone saying, I want my whole cardiovascular system in my body replaced. Or I want every single vein and every single artery taken out, and I want them all replaced. When the reality is sometimes you can just replace one major component of that system and get an amazing function out of that, and maybe add a couple of aspirin in on top of it and have a system that is in very good repair. So the way I would look at this, if I was to start at the top solution and say a top solution was replacing every single artery, every single vein, the heart, the lungs, everything in an entire home, there would be two primary ways that this could be done. That one would be much faster than the other, and I'll explain that. So if we are going to go in with an entirely new system, much like if you bought a brand new house, you would have a brand new electrical system. There would be two ways that we could get this done. One would be a situation where all the sheetrock or plaster in the home is removed from the walls, so we have easy access into the house. The price to do that is going to be about half, maybe even a little less than half, than it would be if all of the plaster and sheetrock and drywall stays in place and we try to be as the least amount intrusive possible. So to give you an idea of what we're talking about, in a home, there is electrical going to every single plug, every single switch, every single light fixture in the home. There is a different type of wire that goes to almost every single thing. And so in one bedroom, for example, you could have upwards of 10 or 12 different components that need to be rewired just in one bedroom alone. So if we take one bedroom and we say maybe a typical house would have 3 or 4 bedrooms and a kitchen and a living room and a hallway and maybe a couple of bathrooms, we would typically be looking at a rewiring cost of somewhere in the ballpark of $25 to $30 per square foot. That could be on the high range, maybe on the low range, depending on how many different plugs and switches and light fixtures need to get installed. If your home has one light fixture in the middle of every room versus a home that has 10 recessed can lights in every single room, obviously the cost is going to be quite a bit different. But if we leave all the sheetrock on, all the plaster, and we leave everything in place, you could expect somewhere in the ballpark of $25 to $30 per square foot to rewire that home. Now, on top of that, typically there is a price to replace the main electrical service at the same time. To replace the main electrical service, that would be the heart and the lungs of the system. And so to provide that in combination of rewiring the home, so not only replacing the veins and the arteries to every bedroom, into the kitchen, into the living room, we would also replace the heart and lungs. That would be the breaker panel and the meter socket, the utility connection system, and the voltage protection system. To replace both of those, you could be looking somewhere in the ballpark of $10,000 to maybe $25,000, depending on the product of the solution that we're going in.
And that's in addition to
That would be in addition to rewiring.
Okay.
So the reason I break those out, and Jimmy, you're bringing up a really good point. The reason I break those out is sometimes many times we go into a home and the heart and the lungs were updated maybe last year, the year before. Somebody knew that they needed to get updated and those were already done. And so now the customer is warranted that it's time to go through and replace the lung or the veins and the arteries of the system, the plugs and the switches.
Can you tell me what would clue someone into thinking that they needed to replace all of the veins? Let's say they already updated the breaker panel, the heart and lungs, the service.
Yeah.
What would clue them into maybe they might need to start thinking about replacing the wiring?
Well, that's a really good question. So you can imagine, let's say we've got a 30 or 40, maybe 50 or 60-year-old house. The way that customers were utilizing the electrical system, let's say 50 years ago, is completely different than the way that customers are utilizing that electrical system today. So, for example, 50 years ago, people were still using wind-up alarm clocks. Today, every single person has chargers in their bedrooms for their cell phones. They have electronic alarm clocks. They've got radios. They've got a myriad of different devices that just go into the bedroom alone. When back in the day, it was a wind-up, crank 'em up alarm clock, and that's all that was used to wake a customer up in the morning.
So they need more electricity.
So many times they need more electricity. With the prevalence of what we call EV or electric vehicle charging centers now, so many of our customers are moving to an electric vehicle. You can imagine the veins and the arteries to the garage that support an electric vehicle. It's just not there, because back in the day, what did you need in the garage? The only thing you needed was maybe a garage door opener and maybe a freezer, a deep freezer, something like that in the garage. Maybe you were plugging in a weed whacker. But now we're going to charge a vehicle that's got to go hundreds of miles down the road. That's going to be a completely different circuit, or a completely different vein, if you will, or artery that needs to go to that.
So what's going to happen if that's not updated? I mean, what could be some problems that would run into?
So that's actually a really good question. So in a situation where someone buys an electric vehicle, I know there are different sizes of chargers that allow a customer to charge that car faster or slower. Imagine we go and put a demand on a circuit that is 50 years old, that's been there for ages, and now that circuit's only had to maybe take care of an electric weed whacker or a table saw, something quick where you're only using it for a few seconds. And now we're going to plug in an electric vehicle charger. Jamie, do you know how long an electric vehicle can take to charge on a standard outlet at the wall?
I have no idea. Days?
That one plug could take 24 to 48 hours to charge that one electrical vehicle. So that plug that you see in your garage, for example, that used to only have to work for a minute or 2 minutes at a time, now you're asking that plug to work for 24 to 48 hours at a time. You could be presenting some pretty serious challenges for that plug, for the power and the veins and the arteries, if you will, these circuits in your home, to actually help out with that, and it could cause a serious safety issue.
So updating the veins and the arteries, are there any visual symptoms that we could notice that we would know that would need to be updated, or is it mainly just inefficiencies?
Probably the easiest visual symptom you could see would be, do you see broken plugs or switches? Do you see plugs that maybe only have 2 prongs on them, for example? That would be very indicative of 50-year-old or 60-year-old wiring methods that weren't done quite up to par the way we do them today. You might see burning on the plugs. That would be a pretty strong indicator that there's been a lot of heat buildup. And of course, if there's heat buildup in a plug, it degrades the plastics and the metals in that plug. They just don't work correctly anymore. Not only do they not work correctly anymore, they can, again, I hate to say this, but presents a serious safety issue.
So going back to our original question, can you give me just a basic average, let's say, I don't know, 1,500, 2,000 square foot home? What it would cost to completely redo everything? Okay,
so to go back to the original question, if all the sheetrock and plaster, and that's when I say that's this finished material that you have on the walls, if all of that stays in place, and our goal is to not disturb any of that, so we can leave you in a situation where you can live in your home day in and day out, it would not be untypical for that electrical installation to be somewhere in the $30,000 to $45,000 range to rewire that house, and maybe even more depending on how many circuits and how many different devices there are that need to get rewired. Devices being plugs, switches, and light fixtures.
And on the other hand, no sheetrock.
Somebody comes in and removes all the sheetrock, you could be looking somewhere in the $15,000 to $20,000 range.
So it really is half.
It really is half.
It's a lot more work too.
It's a considerable difference.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, thanks, Ben. I appreciate all the info today.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's my pleasure.